we'll start with Correa because I think that's the biggest story in baseball right now, easily, just because it was already so huge. Giants signing him and then not signing him. I mean, he's getting, you guys did your reaction to it, but I think after your episode, even more details came out about how he was at the press conference room in a Giants jersey with his family. Shout out to Jeff Passan, whose article was like really cool story of laying out the scenes of like being in the hotel room when they canceled the press conference, and then the Mets call, and then the Mets balk once they see the physical. No one likes whatever the doctor who repaired his ankle back in 2014 put that rod in there. I mean, he's under the gun. What did he do? Nobody knows. He just put like bamboo stick in there instead of metal. Everyone hates this physical. So now he's up in the air. He doesn't want to renegotiate with the Mets. The Mets want to renegotiate. Steve Cohen wants to put a special clause in the contract, like never before seen clauses. If blank, then he doesn't get this money, which I don't know if they've said what they would actually be. But this situation is wild. I can't wait for 5 years to get full transparency. But we don't have that.
Yeah, there's been some other talk on the Giants side. You know, after we did our reaction to it, I think around baseball, we were kind of laughing at the Giants. Like, what are you guys doing, man? Like, and we had the whole Aaron Judge thing from Heyman that wasn't their fault, but we pinned that on them anyway. We laughed at the Giants and the Giants fans like, oh, you had Arson Judge for a little bit. Awesome. And then the Correa news breaks, and it just was kind of like a recipe for, it was an easy punching bag. We were punching down on the Giants, us baseball fans. But, you know, as it turns out, you know, they had legitimate concerns for the physical. Now the Mets are feeling the same way. But, you know, like you're right, James, there's nothing really to update other than that most people are saying a deal is still likely with the Mets. Like, it hasn't fallen apart completely. It seems to me like, and I mentioned this with C. Rose, this is complete conjecture, people. But I know how these teams operate and leverage and all that good stuff operates. I believe the Mets know if they raised concerns about the physical and if they actually dropped out, it significantly impacts Carlos Correa's earning potential this offseason. Like, I don't think there's any doubt about it. They know that. So for them, if you just raise some concerns, like, you know, we still want the deal, but I think there's a way for them. I know he said he's not renegotiating. Of course, Carlos and Boris are going to say that, but it wouldn't surprise me if at the end here, Mets get the deal done, but they're going to shave maybe a year off or some money, or maybe they do get that clause to protect them. I think there's going to be some wiggle room because I just, these businessmen, these dudes in the front office, they understand that if they pulled out, Correa is not signing a 12-year deal. He's not. I don't think he's going to get $300 million from somebody else. Not if two teams pull out in the physical. Complete conjecture, by the way.
Complete conjecture.
Is that even the right word?
No, you sound like the dude from Glass Onion. Man, it's brutal, dude. I feel for Carlos Correa. Who would have thought we got here? Maybe this is a whole part of his like PR campaign to get back in love with everyone. Like, no one wants to sign me. My ankle's lost.
For 12 years.
Twins are still in play, Trev. That's where we last left off.
It was the right word, bro. Stop.
You're killing it.
Yeah, I was surprised. You added great wordage.
If you're hammering it twice, it better be. I was proud of you. Man, he's going to end up with the Mets. And I think, again, it comes down, what do both sides want? Carlos Correa wants to be a Met. The Mets want Carlos Correa. There's some weird going on with that ankle, and we don't know. The doctors may not know. Whatever the doctors do know, they think it's really bad. Like a level of bad we haven't really seen with any other player before when it comes to a physical. So I don't know. The other part that I think you guys haven't mentioned yet, we've talked a lot about the new CBA and the owners, Steve Cohen, making comments about Carlos Correa being a Met. Apparently that's a big old deal because you can't do that unless a guy's on your team. And if they are on your team, well, then they're on your team. So I think what we're going to do is, and I think they were talking to the PA to figure out all of this, what this means, in a special clause and I don't know if loophole is the right term, but basically the Mets want some sort of insurance that if Carlos Correa's ankle, we believe, just becomes almost unplayable. Like this guy can't play baseball anymore, that they get covered on that. And I don't know. I realize you can't make, individual rules for each player that hits free agency and has something weird happen, but we've clearly hit a weird spot with this. And I don't know, like the Mets still very much want Carlos Correa. Like that's been the word out of Mets camp, that let's figure out the right way to get this done. Otherwise, let's go Twins, baby.
Oh my gosh. I will be at Twins Fest, and maybe I'll break the news there that Carlos Correa is coming back home, baby.
Yes.
James, I didn't know that they did ankle surgeries with bamboo. That's interesting. I'm glad that I heard that on our show.
Yeah.
Everyone talk about that. Yeah, they did.
They were still trying to revolutionize everything back in the day. I don't like feel bad for Correa. I mean, it's not like these teams don't want to give him a contract. They don't want to give him a 12-year contract. Boris's whole pitch was pay him until he's 41 years old, the same way you're paying Turner till he's 41 and Bogarts till he's 41 and Judge till he's 40 and all of that. And they were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then they get the physical and they're like, wait, he doesn't have an ankle? Well, I don't want to pay this guy. Those other guys have ankles. I mean, I wonder, and this is where I really want to know the full thing of it. Like, last year, when he did the short contract with the Twins, did he turn down a 12-year deal from another team for less AAV? Did he get any offers? Did they tell teams up front we're not doing long-term? Like, did he miss out then? Did the ankle get worse with the Twins? Probably not. It's probably just the original. But would the Mets right now be like, dude, we'll give you 5 years, 130, 30 a year for the next 5 years before it looks bad. And they're saying, is that the right math?
150.
Whatever it is, just like we'll give you we'll pay for the next 5 years the AAV you want. Well, we can't do 10 because it looks like you're not going to have an ankle. The bamboo is going to disintegrate. So I just can't wait till we get actual insight on this in the future to understand it, because it's not like no one wants him for next year or the next year or the next year. They don't want him for those end years up until he's 40, the way that Boris was trying to get him paid. So I'm really curious to see what this ends up being. And you're right, Trev, if the Mets pull out and the Giants say, well, you guys treated us like shit, so we don't want to renegotiate, then it's like Twins have.
And then you're looking at the 5-year deal or a 3-year deal. I mean, and I believe what will happen is the Mets are going to get a provision, a clause like JD Martinez got with the Red Sox. If you guys remember that one, it was like a 5-year deal. They were able to opt out of the last 2 years if a serious injury occurred. It didn't. In fact, he played his whole tenure there, and now he's a free agent, or he signed with the Dodgers. That's right. So, I mean, it's not unprecedented. So this could happen. But I think that there are some things that could happen that would blow this whole thing up. There's no doubt about it. The Mets and Steve and the spending that they've done, obviously it doesn't seem like they care right now, but I don't want to call it a bamboo ankle. I feel like that's just going to start taking on a life of its own. But if you really are concerned about something, if you really are concerned about something long-term, I mean, 12 years is a long time, they're not just giving away money. They're going to do their due diligence. And if they feel like this is going to be something that impacts it, I mean, it could happen. They could pull out of this deal for sure.
And Luis Castillo in his Mariners extension, there's a no Tommy John clause in there. Forget the exact terms of it, but that's essentially what that is. So I don't know. Find
what the hell? It seems messed up.
Find some spot for if he gets ankle surgery, it's only 9 years or something.
Everyone
whatever the
Tommy
number
John.
is. I think it's in that last year or something. If it's the last year of that, he's out for Tommy John. It's some I forget the exact way it's phrased, but we can
imagine if he tries to pitch through it because he wants that, and then damages even worse. And then, damn, come on, PA, I don't like that clause. Everyone gets Tommy John.
I mean, for Correa, we make it sound very simple with our math: 5 for 130, 5 for 150, whatever it is. We're talking about half. Whether you're talking $300 million, $150 million, whether you're talking 2 bananas or 4 bananas, half Like, and this is what all players work to in their career, to be the 1% of the 1%, to get the opportunity to get a massive contract like this, to get the 10 years, to get the 11 years. He's gotten it twice. And now the Giants and their doctors full pulled out before the presser. Like, Jim, you really liked how the full picture was painted. And I know you were wondering if there was other funny business going on. I think it's just this bamboo ankle. And he's going to end up the Cohen quotes, because I just sent myself through the spin cycle because I was like, well, he just broke the new CBA. And if you comment on a guy, they're supposed to be on your team. But if you're so horrified about a guy's ankle that you don't want to give him, years 9, 10, 11, 12 of 30 million a year or whatever it is, then, what would Steve Cohen get for breaking the CBA? Like a $1 million fine? Like, I think he'd make that deal. So I don't know. Everything is still pointing Mets, but it feels like we're waiting for the next breaking news on it. And I hope it is Correa to the Mets.
So I want to make sure that we were like clear about this. He's never even like been on the IL for this injury when he's been in the big leagues. This is something that happened as a prospect in 2014. He had surgery on it. There is a plate in there, I believe. I have a plate in my forearm. And what they told me was if it started to feel if it just started to feel poor or it started to ache or something, eventually they could take it out. But if not, you just
bamboo arm, your new blitzball nickname.
Yeah, bamboo arm. It's on my non-throwing arm, unfortunately. AJ Pollock, that fuck.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, what a that son of a gun.
AJP.
So, I don't know, man. It's so interesting. Like my brain is going like this could be a conspiracy, and like everyone wants these clauses in the contracts now. Like if everyone's been hurt, bro. Everyone's like has something that aches them. If every contract now is gonna have a clause, well, if that thing flares back up, we're gonna void your contract. Like that's not cool.
Well, if we're talking about conspiracies, and we're going to talk freely in the allegedly speculation range, I sincerely do not believe what I'm about to speculate on is true at all. But wouldn't it be wild if Cohen knew he was going to use the physical, and he knew, like, I don't know the end game, but if Cohen, and people probably think he's a mastermind, but after meeting a lot of people, they're not really these evil masterminds. But what if he calls Boris, says, oh yeah, we'll do it for this and this and this. But he got on the phone with the Giants too and was like, what happened? And then he was like, oh, okay, I knew this. And everything's been planned for an end game we don't know. Like, and then I'm going to talk about, like Jake's saying, I'm going to talk about him like here. They're going to find me, sure. But there's no way we sign this. Like, we're going to use the physical as well as a negotiating point. And the Mets were never intended to stand by that contract that was public to sweep them from the Giants. Like, what if it was thought out? I really don't think that at all.
That's what I was alluding to earlier about how you can use this now and shave some years and some dollars off that contract. And I think that's the most likely outcome here is that we do see I don't think that was their intention. 10-year deal. You don't think it was initially? Dude, these guys are smart, man. I
think Cohen knew. I think this is going to be a story in baseball history. Correa got stolen from the press conference, and the Mets sweeped in and made, like, it's his A-Rod, made him change position because the Giants were haltering, and I don't halt. I just go. And I think he was chasing that fucking awesome baseball history story. But then he got the physical, and he probably had some people on his team like, wait, Steve, it's like kind of real.
Is it real? I'm so confused. This whole situation, I mean, eventually it'll be cleared up, but right now we're just out there thinking
Ken
about
Burns
things.
just got to keep ticking.
It's not our fault that we're like coming up with these conspiracies because there just hasn't been enough info out there. It's all, behind closed doors, and we have the holidays here. So it's sitting around stewing in people's brains, and, you and I, James, have brains. Jake we're going to take him, find him one day.
Twirling around in our.
It's more of a slippery slope than I think I initially thought. Brainless me. Cause couldn't you literally say any pitcher that had Tommy John, which is what, 80% of pitchers now and be like, well, I mean, there's some elbow stuff there that
That's what I'm
happens.
saying, bro.
Yeah. What if it's like one doctor? Like who's the main doctor? Andrews. He's in the clear, but like his rival, all of a sudden, Dr. Andrews is like, Dr. Brown gives shitty Tommy Johns. And then every single player that's got a Dr. Brown Tommy John all of a sudden just can't sign like
Dr.
another
Brown.
deal.
Is that a soda?
So,
Yeah. Bullshit. It's like a pseudonym for bullshit doctor.
You mentioned this guy that did the surgery
Sorry
back in
if there's a
2014.
Dr. Brown listening.
yeah, sorry,
Dr. Brown's soda, by the way, right?
Yeah. A
wrong about
shitty
that?
soda, Trev.
They used to be at all the delis I would go to. Listen,
Oh, I
this
like Dr.
doctor-
Brown's. Yeah, they're like those orange and like those root
Yeah.
beer type things.
We love you, Dr. Brown.
Yeah.
This doctor, not Dr. Brown, the one that actually did the surgery, you think he's like, hey, I'm a good surgeon. Like I stand.
He
by
would have
my
raised his
work,
hand.
right?
If he stood by it, he would have raised his hand.
I'm a good guy.
Do you think he's like, oh shit, that wasn't. We shouldn't have used bamboo.
Yeah. Astros told me this was like not a good prospect, so I used the shitty bamboo.